good evening to all our viewers. Welcome once again to our Revival House talk show, and I'm your presenter, Patricia Warui. We are here to engage, to educate, to influence, but above all, to enable to empower yourself, to be able to improve and develop yourself professionally and personally, to make a difference, to impact on someone else's life, or to change a community wherever you are. Today we've got yet another fantastic, incredible guest. She's a woman of God. She's a very resilient person, ruthless. She's a go-getter and a risk taker. I have seen her resume and I can tell you, oh, this woman, nothing is stopping her. And without further ado, please allow me to welcome Minister Ida Olabaye. Ida, please welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody.
Right, Ida, thank you so much for your time, and it's a really privilege to have you on this show. Thank you for giving us this opportunity, Ida. To start us off, who is Ida, please? Can you tell us who is Ida?
Well, Ida could be a little bit of a long story, but I will try to condense it.
Right.
Ida is a married woman, a mom of 3 grown-up children. They don't live with us anymore. Pardon me. Sorry. They have their own places. I came to UK many years ago, I would say, to try and further my education. However, it wasn't an easy start. So the Ida that was then has absolutely transformed into something totally different. I came to this country with 40 pounds, basically, 40 pounds in my possession. That was all that my orders that gave me to come to UK with. Sadly, when I came here to do my general nursing training. I came from Canada because my father was working there as a diplomat for the Tanzanian embassy. And I got here and I realized 40 pounds is not going to last me very long. And I didn't know anybody in the UK. So what I did, like any other young lady would do probably at that age, I was still quite young. I took my diplomatic passport to the Tanzanian embassy and pawned it. as one of the attachés who knew my father actually. And I said, if I leave my passport here, can I borrow 40 pounds? I wanted to double what I had. And I explained to him why. Because 40 pounds to buy my nursing books, my groceries, and we're living in a hostel within the hospital. I had everything myself. It was just not enough. So anyway, he said, fine, no problem. He gave me 40 pounds, kept my passport. I went back to the nurses' hostel, lived on bread and baked beans for a whole month until we were paid at the end of that month our nurses' allowance, student nurses' allowance. And that's how I started. From there, I went to do midwifery, and that was quite tough, but it was worth it. I always wanted something challenging. I found nursing, for me, was a little bit boring. There was nothing much to challenge me with. Midwifery was very important. Yeah. And eventually, whilst doing midwifery, I met my husband, had our 3 sons. Then, of course, your circumstances change because it's customary the wife should care for the kids. So went right high up in midwifery to a midwifery managerial position as a health promotion manager, and then had to come right down to working part-time because of taking care of the children. So it was inevitable, but that led to many other things where I am now. So I have no regrets whatsoever, none.
Fantastic. Oh, you look very young. I wouldn't have thought that you have grown-up kids. What's the secret, Ida? You look very, very young. I'm really surprised that all your kids have left the hatch. They've gone.
I think it's the wisdom of how to put the right foundation in your children from an early age. Once they know that my ethos was always go out there, stand on your own 2 feet so I can see and observe and guide you while I'm still alive. That was always what I used to say to them. So we didn't chase them out, but they realized once they graduated, from university, they realized they have to make a life of their own. So they all wanted their own places. Our eldest one is actually married, which is fantastic.
Oh,
And the youngest one, I believe, will be following suit very quickly. But I think
oh, well done.
I think it's just how you nurture them. And to me, that's why I
Yeah,
choose the top. Foundation is so, so important. When you
it is.
instill that, you see at the background guiding them. It doesn't matter how
Mm,
old they are. They need a parental guidance to put them at the right place and the right time and move on with their
yeah,
lives. That's what I've been
I
doing.
agree.
So, mm,
I agree. Foundation is always the key in terms of how they progress, how they stand on their own 2 feet. And if the foundation is not there, oh yes, they crumble, the cracks will be there. And saying that, it doesn't mean that they don't have their own struggles. But I think the values and beliefs that have been instilled in them goes a
yes.
long way with them. And I think you've done a great job. I can't wait for mine to leave my nest.
They-
Right.
yeah, but it's nice to
Yes.
have the,
Okay.
yeah.
Go. Fantastic. Right. I can see you're a jack of many trades and a master of all, as they will say, a master of none. I think you master your ways and you've managed to penetrate through successfully. Let me start with from nursing. What was your motivation from nursing to business? Because those are two different avenues. Those are two different professionals.
You're absolutely right. And up to now, I kind of look back myself and I wonder, how did I do it? How did I manage and why? What gave me
Hmm.
the stamina to actually, it's more like a fish out of water, really. But it all began, it was a very sequential kind of progress. As I
Right.
was a managerial, in a managerial position in midwifery, I was a health promotion
Mm.
system, or manager as they call it nowadays, in at Guy's Hospital. Now, at that time, there wasn't much progress within the health promotion department. So I thought, well, I'm going to really revamp it. It was absolutely not doing very well in terms of educating our patients and our clients in obstetrics. And I thought I'd go into a management course, first of all, to manage the position very, very well.
Mm.
I also went and did an aerobic course because I was teaching other midwives, especially community midwives, how to maintain their exercises for the patients before they come into
Yeah.
labor, but also post delivery as well. So
Mm.
did that course and mastered the whole thing. And we were getting classes as huge as 200 people per class at Guy's Hospital. So it
Oh.
was during postnatal reunion classes that some of the patients were saying, "Oh, Ida, we're seeing you for the last day today. What's going to happen when we leave?" Now they've delivered with their babies. And I said, well, I'm going to see a
Mhm.
new group, you go on ways. So that what kind of stemmed up from the client saying that, but why can't you open a nursery where we can still follow you? And I thought, well, I'm not opening a nursery. I'm a midwife. But I was
Exactly.
hearing over and over again, why don't you open a nursery? Why don't you open a nursery? We can come with our babies. So when Guys was then moving to St. Thomas's, my
Mhm.
husband, no, you can't be moving across the river because we live in the southeast of London. We're in West
Yeah.
Dulwich. And he said, no, you can't be going across the river. You're a mom of, at that time I only had 2 sons,
Mhm.
and it's going to be quite a journey. And I thought, you're right. So he said, no, rest for a few months and then decide what to do next. So whilst I
Right.
was resting, I took off 6 months. Whilst I was
Mhm.
resting, that idea of opening a nursery was still ringing in my ears. Why don't you open a nursery? Why don't you open a nursery? I had
So the
also,
seed was dropped in.
yes, because when you're sitting at home now, you have more time to reflect. I had also taught my 2 boys how to read from the uh, age of 2. They were reading fluently. By the age of 2 and a
Wow.
half, they were reading before they went to bed. So I thought the best thing is to use skill, share with the other moms around me, a small play group,
Mhm.
and then progress
Mhm.
to dancing house. And that's how I did it. That's how I did it.
That is all it started.
Yes,
You see
definitely.
how simple, how you've simplified it, how an idea came and how you implemented it. Because sometimes we have all these ideas, but I think it's taking the action and having that confidence and to implement it. Because all of us, I'm sure everybody, most of us, we all have ideas, some ways or somehow. but it's the fear of how will it turn out? If it fails or if it doesn't, how am I going to do this? Do I have the enough skills? Do I have the and I think all these questions, all they're all ringing at once. How did you manage to kind of settle and say, you know what, this is it? Made
I
up my
think
mind.
I think I've always been a little bit of should I say, that very biblical a language, a daredevil. You know, I like the challenge. Just like when I was
Right.
a qualified, newly qualified, you know, still very young nurse, I was the
Mm.
only nurse in the entire hospital who went to the senior manager and said, I'm not going to go work in the wards. I find it very boring. Can I go to ITU, intensive care unit? They said, but you've just qualified. You don't know anything about intensive care. And I said, no, I'll be bored in the wards, in the, you know, to bandage wounds and dish out medicines, and is that all?
Yes.
I would really find it very, very boring. So I was then given the chance to go work in ITU. I remember back then when I was the only
Mm.
junior person there who had no qualifications to be in that department, but I learned. I learned very, very quickly. Yeah. So when it came to this time opening a nursery, for me, I was thinking,
Yes.
well, this would suit me because I have enough time to drop my kids to school, spend time with them
Mhm.
after school as well. And it's something I did in between. So it began as a very, very small play group from 9 to about 12:30. And then by then I would
Mhm.
come get on with my workload. But I found within about 6 months, the parents were saying, no, Ida, this is not enough hours. Can we have more hours? And I thought, oh, I thought it was just a small play group to meet other moms and so forth. They wanted a proper nursery, a proper preschool.
So where were you doing all this? Were you doing it in your house or had you hired a place?
I hired a place. We are in West Dulwich. There's a wonderful, large cricket club. So they have a huge
Right.
hall, lovely grounds around, you know, lots of luxurious lawns and whatever. So it was so easy to have people drive right in. It was convenient for everything, really, for the parents, and that's why they wanted more hours. And then I realized, yes, now it's becoming a little bit serious. It's becoming more
Mm.
business now. I have no
Yeah.
choice. Whilst I was doing that, within about probably I would say a year and a half, somebody has called me. A friend of mine said, "Oh, do you know, I found a hall in another area, about 5 miles away from where I was.
Mhm.
Just renovated a church. You can hire." And I thought, "Oh, I will go there. You know, have a look and touch the admin person before I opened the secretary."
Oh wow, fantastic, fantastic. You see how it all started, and I think you have support network that really um, geared you and pushed you to implement and to start your own business. What were the challenges that now you've decided now this is going to be a business now? This is business. Uh, Game's over.
Mm.
What were the challenges in setting up this business?
I think number one is actually a realization. This was still more of a hobby to me anyway.
Mm.
I think I remember my husband saying, "Oh, you're going to play again," and I'm thinking, "Really? You had no idea." I think I was maybe portraying that kind of a scenario. I'm not being with the, you know, I'm spending time with moms and children, having a good
Mhm.
time. So I never took it seriously. But when I opened the next one, then I realized, oh, this is becoming a proper business. And then I realized the timing that I really was hoping I would secure for my children to be with me was becoming a little bit scarce. Because when you have
Right.
two establishments and you're running in between them rather, it became a little bit challenging in the sense that I had to hire two different managers to be able to cope with the nurseries while I could just kind of oversee, you know, everything as it's running very, very smoothly. So that was a dilemma at that time. But there were other challenges, I have to say, that one encounters as a Black woman working in this country. You are not quite accepted, and
Mm.
in the business world, put it that way. And that was obvious in the because that area, it was very, very like a gangland, which
Mhm.
so I was getting a lot of threats somebody reported me to offset the governing body soon after I opened, actually, that the place was ridden with rats. Now, you wonder where were they hiding, because it was cemented walls, cemented floors. So where were they? It was totally false, obviously. Newly refurbished church. There was no kind of wood cutting or whatever anywhere where rats could make a hole. It was all cemented. So next I got a phone call from offset to say if they don't hear from me within 24 hours, or no, 48 hours rather, I will be closed. And I thought, wow, after all the hard work, all the money I invested in opening the setting, I called the environmental health officer who came over. And the first thing she said, it was a lady from Zimbabwe. And she said, Ida, what possessed you to open a nursery in this area? Didn't you know it's a gangland? And I said, no, I had no idea. I just saw a church and I thought that was a nice place, and the rent was reasonable.
Opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. So she gave me quite a good kind of like a mother to child talk. And I thought, oh, wow, what do I do now? I just have to continue. I'm not going to stop. I just face the challenges. It was tough, extremely tough. Not in terms of the client, but also the neighboring businesses where you are not wanted. You could tell, I was not wanted in the area. But I managed to survive for several years before I sold and went to open in another area altogether.
Oh, well, so how many, if I'll say, how many business settings of nursery do you have? In what areas? Is it only in London, or have you ventured outside London?
Oh, I've not ventured outside London. But the home life and my kids were all very, very important to me. So I wanted somewhere where I could easily drive and come back and spend more time with them. To me, they were always going to be a first priority, not the business. So it was all within London, within a driving distance, but probably about 5 to 7 miles. So it wasn't too bad. I really focused on the children. To me, education is number one. And to see that I was already in education myself, I think it would have been absolutely a dreadful sin to ignore my sons and focus on the money-making side of it. So no, I spend more time with the boys, to the point that they left primary school with 2 scholarships each.
Oh, wow.
I was the mom, the minicab driver, more or less, driving from one activity to another. But I spent a lot of time with them. To me, when you give a child foundation, you know that you set them up.
Yeah. And I think you've done a good job there, Ida. And I think that was going to my next question, but you've already answered it. It's besides your children, besides your parental needs, is there anything else that really inspired you in setting up the business nursery? Was there anything else besides your parental needs and your children, of course, spending time with your children?
Yeah, when I was studying, because as you said, I came straight out of military into childcare. When I was studying how to go about opening the business, I did a short course on that. And I realized it's not that challenging. However, it's completely different, out of my depths. But I looked at the advantages of the time that I would have. It's flexible. As the owner, I was able to, like I said, drop my children, collect them myself, spend time with their homework, cook dinner, have time with them. But
lost her.
Lost, and we were doing very well. lost you there, and I think I'm going to repeat the question. Hopefully, the internet is done very well for the last 20 minutes or so, and I hope
Sure.
it's going to give us another 20 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Ida, besides your parental needs and time to spend with your children, is there any other reason that really inspired you into setting up childcare business?
As I said at the beginning, coming out of midwifery into childcare was quite a transformation, quite a change. But what I enjoyed best was that flexibility of time. Time that obviously, yes, I spend more time with my children, but also it was a very rewarding, financially rewarding business. I was able to explore other investments as well. But most importantly, I was able to provide employment. At some point, I think it was up to 15 employees I had between two different nurseries. So with 15 employees, that it means I was actually taking care of 15 families. And I look at myself, is this possible? But I was doing it, actually. I was doing it. And once you gain that confidence of running a business like that, you are able to explore other areas, other avenues that you probably thought you could never touch. So for me, it was the rewards were just hard to describe. But more so, when I combined that with the early reading, and that's where I wrote the early reading, it was just a transformation, because one nursery was in a very deprived area. The other one was in an affluent area. So with a deprived area, to be able to teach a child who English is a second language, the home circumstances were a little bit challenging, but to find that they are able to read in no time, despite their background, that to me was so, so rewarding. Up to now, I absolutely enjoyed that.
Oh, I think it's seeing the difference you've made. That is all that counts. And especially in relation to the children, the achievement they've made, knowing from where they're coming from, and seeing their improvement every single day. Money is not the only key thing here, and I think it's seeing what transformation you've impacted on these people's lives, and that is what we're talking about, Ida. Well done. Right, and is that what was the reason? I've seen you've written a book.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
As I said, you're a jack of many trades, a nursing, a business lady, an author now, right? All these things in one. I think for me, I don't know which one. it will throw me off. What inspired you to become an author? And where did all this stem from?
That came from my good friend Caroline Marsh, the Secret Millionaire. I came across her years ago. And we've been very close. The Boroughs, I was given a chance to do a very short management course. And the gentleman who was facilitating the course was the one who said to me, oh, there's a Black Women's Conference up in North London. Ida, you need to go. I think you could see the enthusiasm in me. And I thought, well, I don't know whether I'm that much of a businesswoman. I always look at myself, I'm just a housewife, with 3 boys, and that was it. I didn't see anything. I went there, met Caroline, and Caroline then did say she was going to hold a short boot camp course for 3 months. And I thought, I might find something more. And I joined that. And during that particular course, Caroline was trying to get everything out of us to actually improve our lives. What she said to me was that, yes, you're providing a service, Ida. What you need now is to provide a product that you can sell. That's when you're really going to function better. And I thought, oh, is that what people do in the wealthy world? I didn't know that at that time. So I said, without a product, a service is fine, but it doesn't make you as successful as when you have a product to sell well. So I said, but I don't know what to produce. I'm just in the childcare business. I'm working part-time, taking care of my sons. I don't know what I can produce. She got it out of me eventually. What have you done that is very significant? And I said, well, I taught my sons to read very, very early. He said, well, there you are. Write a book about it. And I thought, oh, but I'm not an author. I wouldn't know where to start. He said, go and start writing. So it was Caroline who pushed me to it. I remember writing it down, writing the draft rather, and then I put my aside. I didn't go back to it. I think my church crusade. That was about 3 years ago. The apostle of that called me out. I had an altar call. When I got to the front, he said, and I said, I'm part-time midwife early years settings. And he said, no, that's not what God is showing me. He's showing me something different. And I'm thinking, oh, have I been in the wrong jobs all this time?
Yeah.
And he said, I'm seeing books all over. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know about them unless books in my nurseries. I don't know what books. And he said, no, I'm seeing Amazon as well. And I thought, well, so I said, well, I did write a little manuscript, but I haven't done much to it. He said, that's probably what I'm seeing. And I thought, oh, wow. Now, I'd never been to such churches before. So for me, this was all very new. And I was shocked. The interesting part is that 3 weeks before that crusade, I did have a dream, actually. And it was a spiritual dream showing me that both nurses that I was running, I had closed the doors. And on top of a week later, I had another dream that I had let myself be comfortable in the labor ward with the give a hug, and then I walked out. So when I was told that now at the crusade, I'm thinking, I wonder if that is connected. I went and fetched the manuscript, wrote it, and it's been kind of because the work in the nursing got too much, but I did produce it. I've got a copy here of the written book itself, but not in the e yet. It kind of took me back to realize. Began as a nurse, went into care, and then writing, and they still keep on our goalposts, farther and farther, and that's what I'm still doing now.
Wow, great work. I think God. I think sometimes we become so comfortable where we are, and we don't want to take risk, or we say we've settled in. I think we don't realize that we still have much more within us and much more to offer. And with God, everything is possible. I can see your drive out there. Right now, you've told us about yourself. You told us about how you've managed to juggle your professionals and your business setting. Right. Now let's come back to the current affairs. In this pandemic situation, this pandemic period, how have you coped to manage your business? You've got a workforce of over 15 staff, as you've said, and I'm sure you've had your challenges. How have you coped through this pandemic period?
It's been challenging. I like lockdown. We're now liaising with the local borough, the local early years department on how we can reopen our settings, but what measures are we putting in place? And they're quite, everything is new to everybody because we've never had this kind of virus before. But I've been liaising with my manager, letting her know that she can set up some activities online via Zoom with our parents so they don't feel totally forgotten. Some simple activities, making, for example, Rice Krispies and chocolate cakes, and rearranging one's living room and putting an old bed sheet to make it into a little preschool for the child, and give the child whatever, so they can really feel. But also when they're on other children, they become one. They don't forget their little friends. They don't become too isolated. And also gives a mom a chance to be away from the child while the child is liaising with the staff team and so forth. That's another thing. But the most important part is when it comes to reopening, what kind of measure we're going to put in place. So we are formatting new policies and procedures, trying to see what equipment we can buy to make sure that staff are safe, parents are happy and feel confident, and children are going to be safe as well. It is a new territory, definitely, but we are finding our feet around like everybody else. It's not going to be easy to socially distant a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. It's absolutely impossible. However, we have to take chances and hope that their education is not completely compromised. Yeah.
I can see how the internet era has really transformed everything else. And I was wondering whether you have Zoom play groups. Have you thought of having Zoom play groups and having the little ones to meet their friends online and to see and to see they're still together in that sense, even if they're not physically in the same room?
Yeah, that's exactly what my manager is organizing with the staff team and the parents. I've had parents who've sent to me little pictures, via email of what their little ones have done, and some people, drawing, oh, this is Miss Ida. I'm thinking, oh dear. Because the memory is still there that they are missing out that routine. And that's how we encourage the parents to still make some kind of a routine to meet online, and they can see their little friends, and just do maybe 1 or 2 little activities every day or every second day if they're able to join us. That way, then that bond can still remain there. And when we do reopen, whether it's the end of June or beginning of July, it's not too much of a loss when it comes, with the children. Yeah, so my manager organizes that. Yeah.
Ida, my next question to you is, what is your advice to somebody who thinks, actually, I would love to start a childcare setting, but however, I have no skills, I have no resources. Where do I start? How do I go about it? What would you advise somebody who sitting down there and thinking, I would love to start something. Will childcare be something for me? And if it is, how would I implement it and how do I go on about it?
I think anybody can do it. Origin, I had nothing to do with childcare whatsoever. Give me a baby, give me a pregnant woman, I'll deliver with my eyes closed. So if I can do that, everybody can do that, really. The most important thing is being financially sound. When you have a project in mind and you've set your goal, I think the most important thing is just to do the little research to make sure, is this really what you want to do? And if it is, then remain focused. Don't let anybody dissuade you from it. We stay focused. Nowadays, there are a lot of consultants available who can actually guide you or guide an investor on how to go about it. For someone like myself, I've done it for 21 years, so I have helped some colleagues to open their new settings from the word go. This is what you do. I look at the word mistakes I've made myself in the past, and obviously would advise somebody else, don't do it this way, try this way. It works better, it works quicker. There will be the challenges of people looking down on you because maybe, I know in one of the nurseries that I opened, my surname was an issue. Immediately people assume, oh, you must be Nigerian, therefore you might be taking shortcuts. And I'm thinking, well, that is really sad when you kind of classify people because of their surname or, how the name sounds. Because you've seen maybe not very well run nursery. Yes, that particular name will have the same behavior. That is really wrong. So the most important thing is just have your finances first of all secure. The area that you want to go into to open the setting, have you explored? Meaning, have you seen what else is available within that vicinity? All in all, do what we call a SWOT analysis in management. Yeah, meaning your strengths, your weaknesses, what opportunities are there, and also what are your really future goals. In other words, do you intend to just remain with the one setting? You want to expand? Because once you've done one that's going very, very well, it's very easy to replicate that and get another one and another one and another one. The most probably challenging side is the staffing. When you do interview your staff, I would say to anybody, open your eyes very, very well, because staff are the ones who can either make your nursery grow or they can sabotage your business. That is so, so important. When you're assuming you've got somebody solid looking after your business, when you're not there, that is when problems can come in. So I think in those three areas, furniture and equipment is not a problem at all. But to me, I think is the staffing side of it, and the area that's the location that you have. What else is there within that vicinity? Yeah.
Right. Ida, there is one issue that has been dominating our social platforms and our mainstream media broadcasting, and that is Black Lives Matter. And I know so many people it has focused on the death of George Floyd, but there is more to it in the sense that how people of color have been discriminated against, and how they've had limited opportunities just because of their color. What is your thought to this? Because I think it is an issue that has been actually reflecting and on it. It is affecting us consciously or unconsciously, one way or the other. What is your take on this issue?
Yes, the problem has been kind of, how should I put it, boiling underneath for quite a while. As a Black woman in business, I have faced that for years, absolutely years. But when you are blinkered, you're focused on your business, you don't allow anything else to distract you, because it is so easy to kind of trick you, to retaliate, and then you lose your opportunities. And that's what a lot of probably other Black women find. No, I'm not going to bother with that, because I know I'm going to face this and that and that. That is not going to be eradicated overnight. That is systemic. In governments, those that have before, that are current now, and probably is going to be there in the future as well. You will always come across some obstacles. I've faced a lot in childcare. I could give you dozens of examples, but they shouldn't stop us from moving forward. We all are here for a purpose. We have an agenda to better our lives and also to provide for the community as well. We're then putting our future children's successes on hold, because it means that they're also going to be afraid. Exactly what I'm saying about my children having learned to read quite early. That wasn't accepted in other nurseries where they went to. I remember walking to a nursery, very, very affluent area, and my son began reading the wall hangings, what they've written down and so forth. And the deputy manager immediately got her back up when she said, "Oh, he's reading." And I said, "Oh yeah, he's absolutely fluent with reading." But at that time he was 3. I just had my second baby at that time, so that was the older one. And he said, "Well, we don't teach reading here." And I thought, oh wow, I had not my mouth to say anything. Already you are on the defense. That's the statement I got. We don't teach. That was a Montessori nursery as well. We don't teach reading here. So you will come across those kind of challenges where they feel, who do you think you are, getting a child to be so far ahead? Where do you think they're going to go? Are they going to be a prime minister? Ignore those kind of ignorance comments. Ignore them. Because if you take them seriously, they will prevent you from going forward and also allowing your children to go forward. My ethos in the house was always, you got to work 10 times harder than your white counterparts, whether you like it or not. Yeah. And when you start with that as a foundation, whether they know what black and white means or not, just let them understand they got to work harder, full stop. As they get older, there will be bigger challenges that they're going to face, like I faced as well. When a lady came in nursery one day, we were one staff short in one of the preschools. And that's in the, there were sort of 2 different areas. One was highly congregated with the immigrants, and the other nursery in a affluent, white community. So in the white community one in West Dulwich, a lady walked in and saw me sweeping the floor towards the end of the class. And she went in, said hello to the manager because she knew her, and didn't know me very well because I wasn't there all the time. And then she stopped and said, "Oh, good morning." And I said, "Oh, good morning. Are you new here, dear?" And I said, "No, I've actually been here for a while, but I didn't want to say who I was." And said, "Oh, well, good to meet you. My name is so-and-so." And I said, "Oh, my name is Ida." Then she went away. Late in the afternoon when she came back full of apologies. Full of apologies. Sorry. And I said, "Sorry for what? I didn't know you were the owner." Why? Because all my staff were white. I was the only Black woman there. Yet when I was sweeping, you know, when you say jack of all trades, I said, staff, you continue what you need. I'll do the sweeping myself. So she assumed I was a cleaner. I was a cleaner, cleaning the nursery. That's how things... Exactly. Now, I could have gotten angry thinking, you know, why do they do this? But you're going to face it over and over again. When I opened another nursery, for example, I was seen by the... I had a phone call from one of the early years manager in that particular borough who said, now, you're waiting for an offset inspection to open for the nursery to continue. However, don't expect to pass. So I said, oh, but why? I was already doomed to fail. And I said, but why? He said, well, most people don't really pass the first time anyway, not in that area. And I said, well, okay. So she then said that she was going to come and visit and see it for herself before the offset came. And I said, oh, yeah, no problem. She came over and the fell open. She said, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like this. Look at the furniture. This is wonderful. Do you mind if I take some pictures? We never see this kind of thing in our area. We normally see plastic cupboards, second-hand furniture, second-hand toys. And I thought, no, I would never do that. When I invest well. So I had new furniture where a little chair would cost something like 43 pounds. You have to have a sum, depending on what kind of facility you want to set up. Is it a high class, where you know you're going to attract the right kind of clientele, or just something just so you can make money and then move on? There's a big difference there. But that is a phone that I would have with my surname, because my husband is Nigerian. So he assumed the nursery was not quite of high quality. Therefore, I was in the same category. And that was wrong. That was really wrong. So you swallow your pride and say, no, I'll move on. I'll continue because it's not going to be the end of it. But then I look at my own children, especially the eldest one. He's got a very good job in the city. But he rang me once to say, Mom, I'm having issues. And I said, what kind of issues? There was another guy in their company who was bringing some, racial kind of, how should I put it? More like racial connotations in the way he was addressing him. So I said, well, give me an example. He said, oh, well, every time I'm somewhere, he'll come in. And the last time he said to me, so-and-so, you wouldn't be in this office like me if it was, say, 50 years ago. You actually would be the cleaner here or something like that. Or if you got in the bus, you'd be sitting at the very back. You won't be, near me. And I'm thinking, but why is he saying that? Did you provoke him? He said, oh, no. I think he's trying his best to provoke me. I said, fine, no problems. What you need to do now this is a grown man, obviously, you're in a graduate and you've got a good job, but he still came to Mom for advice. I said, well, write a diary, write a little journal. Every time you say something, write it down. But don't feel that you have the need to get angry with him, because obviously he's showing his ignorance, in which case you just remain calm, but write it down. Keep a record. But also in the future, whenever he comes around, make sure there's another witness nearby. So whatever he says, somebody else also hears that. So when you write it down, you're now going to put down that I had a witness there who heard it as well, and take it from there. Then it kind of escalated a little bit. And I said to my son, no, don't get flustered. I've been through it myself before. Luckily, I said to him, there's a gentleman who's in the media, Trevor Phillips, who deals with racial problems and so forth. And I said that if the worst comes to the worst, we can make an appointment with Trevor Phillips. He will to give you the right advice and coach you so you don't get yourself in trouble or lose your job. And then he said, oh, Mom, I can't believe it. His wife works in the same building with us. I said, great, meet her down the lobby, ask for his contacts, and make an appointment with him. But in the meantime, we're just going to pray as well. Pray. It does work. It took maybe only about a month or so. That guy who was awkward left that position, moved away. Prayers are powerful, but more so is exactly what the Bible says. And Psalm 91 says, I shall see with my own eyes how sinful people are punished. He made a blunder, and rather than be caught by the company, he resigned himself. So that was
actually, I think prayer, not, it is always, prayer is always the tool. And we cannot do anything without our faith. We cannot do anything without God. He always gives us strength to carry on. He is our shield in everything we do. And it's unfortunate that 21st century you're still seeing this racial discrimination in so many ways that when you look back, you think, oh, things have moved on. But however, I don't think it has. I think things have been covered. And I think the new generations down, they're uprising. And I think now everybody has to make their own change wherever they are. And I think they're really, really trying to come out of it. But I don't know how this will turn out. But hopefully there's hope. That our children will not experience the discrimination that we have experienced, all the situations we've had to encounter along our professional development. Yeah.
And I strongly believe, though, at the end of the day, the education on how to cope with discrimination starts from home. If parents can really take time and be consistent with educating their children, the children won't get into trouble. When a child is angry and doesn't know how else to retaliate, then they are being deemed as being aggressive because they are fighting with another child who's just insulted them, and that doesn't quite go well on our side. We're so that we are rough, we are aggressive, we have hot temper and so forth. But then we are provoked most of the times. We are provoked. Yeah. But the parents could just sit down, have a little chat now and again with the children. Yeah, I know young age they won't understand, but as time goes by, it will all make sense. My 4-year-old told me once when I went to collect him from a private school, and he said, "Mom, do you like brown people or do you like yellow people?" And I said, "Why do you ask me about the color? We are all the same in front of God's eyes." He said, "I just wondered." Immediately, I thought something happened in the classroom. He was the only black boy in that classroom. At the age of 4, when your child asks you, "Who do you prefer?" So what did they say to him?
Exactly.
To ask me that?
Exactly.
From home as a foundation. So the child grows up realizing, I'm proud for who I am, for where I come from, and nobody can take that away from me. But rather than allow the child to get angry, try and kind of contain them to say, come and talk to me as your mom, your dad, whenever something happens at school, so we can try and solve it. I think where we don't make that allowance for our children to come and speak with us and be open, then they get into trouble. They get into trouble.
Yeah, I think communicating and being open to them, and them having that trust that they can come and confide in you, whatever struggles they're going through. It is a perfect way of dealing with issues, and actually teaching them, this is how I can only support you, because if you don't say, I wouldn't know what you're going through. And most of the kids are suffering in silence because maybe they're scared of, depending on how the response will be from home. But I think you've touched a very good point there, is teaching them and being open with them and communicating with them, telling them, listen, I'm here for you. Trust me in everything. And God will always carry us through. Thank you, Ida. Thank you, Ida, for your time. And before we wind up, how can people get in touch with you? Or how would people, if somebody wants to read your book, or somebody wants to maybe have a look at your profile and see, oh, okay, or maybe get in touch with you for some advice, where can we get you, or how would we be able to reach out to you?
Well, we were going to put up the book as an ebook. However, there's still one little thing to be done, that's formatting it. And we couldn't find anybody to format it at that time. Then I spoke with my my mentor, Caroline. So we have a lovely package that's going to be set out at the end of this summer. Because I'm doing something else right now, I said, let's put everything at rest for the time being, on the back burner. But we're trying to form a package when it will then be accessible with various other material to go with it. So right now, either by email address, which you have, or by my phone number, I am working from home, so I'm easily available. Until the pandemic is over, I'm at home 24/7, really. So no problem at all there.
Do you have any social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, or anywhere, social media?
Again, we're hoping to start soon, because when I put something out, I'm hoping it's going to be prominent. So right now, our only site is the one that goes with our nurseries, which we don't want to use that at all as such, because it's something totally different. So I am on Facebook. Haven't done enough LinkedIn, so I was waiting for the book to be completed, formatting, and then that's right. My email is absolutely perfect. And if the one copies, by all means, I can always organize the paperback right now, but it will come out in an email formula very, very soon. Yeah. As you said, I'm a jack of so many things.
I tell you, I jack of so many things and a master in everything. It's not the other way. A master in everything. I think for me, you've inspired me and motivated me in so many ways that the sky is the limit, and you should not be limited by anything. I think once you have the desire to succeed, nothing should nothing should limit you. No, nothing should stop you. I think the sky is the limit here. And yes, Ida, thank you very much. What is your final word to our viewers this evening? What is your final word?
My final word is that grab the opportunities as you see them. I look at myself, like I said, I began in this country with 40 pounds. Now I'm worth much more than that, to the point that I've actually had to take an early retirement from duty free, because I just feel I don't have to work that hard to actually to survive anymore. I can now pick and choose the kind of activity that I want to do. So people shouldn't be afraid of hard work, that everything is possible as long as your mind is set up. But the most important thing is, first and foremost, write your vision board so you know exactly what you're getting into. And that can give you the guidance to know what exactly are you interested in. So when you get to the one goal achieved, you can move your goalposts to the next and to the next and to the next. That to me is very, very important. But when there's no vision written down, you are just existing. That is not good at all. And also, you're not showing your own children or the younger people in your family a good example. There's got to be a pathway that you're following. Then you know your life is properly organized. I think even the Bible said the same thing. Speak out what you're asking God to help you with. In other words, itemize it. Yeah. The same thing as having a vision board. Yeah. Itemize what you want to do, or what your 3-year plan or 5-year goal plan.
Yeah, people perish because lack of vision. If you don't have a vision, you're just a skeleton walking through like everybody else. And if you want to stand out, you really have to do anything and everything that you will be able to pull yourself and bring yourself to that place that you know what, this is where I am, and this is where I desire to be. But it's a journey that you have to put the effort. And I would agree with you 100% there, Ida. And I think with our community is discovering our purpose in God and unleashing our God-given talents.
Amen.
And I think what I've seen in most of us is we've got so many obstacles along the way, and sometimes we're scared to break the barriers because of various reasons.
I think getting a good mentor, it doesn't have mentor. There's somebody you're associated with who can support you. The church I go to now, for example, for the last 3 years, is a Nigerian church. I used to go to Church of England. And when I got there, by the second year, I was thinking, why are we worshiping in a rented accommodation? But also I'm looking at the altar. Why does it look so tired? Hasn't anybody seen that they could change those curtains and make the altar really pillars? I'm thinking, what did Solomon do to the temple and build this wonderful altar? Why are we worshiping? And women are well dressed in their headgear and clothes. But you're looking at the altar, you wonder, oh my word, that looks absolutely dreadful. Patricia, by myself quietly, I went and measured the altar, went and bought some material, made up some lovely Valencie's curtains for the altar. Then I called the pastor. I didn't know him very well, but I thought I just have to surprise him. And if he says no, fine, no harm done. I called him and said, "Sir, would you mind if I change the curtains at the altar just to kind of revamp it a little bit? It looks a little bit tired." They'd been there for 14 years. So he said, "Oh yeah, sure, Sister Ida, you can go ahead." I went there the following, couple of weeks to, I bought my own curtain rods and everything else, put up the new curtains, bought some flower pots, put up some new flowers with color coordination. When they came to church the Sunday, everybody thought, "Oh, are we having a party today? The place is so nicely decorated." And I said, "No, that's going to be permanent." Do you know, since then, we now are color coordinated. For every event that takes place, we have different colors for it. We had a mini crusade. I made it lovely yellow and gold to really brighten up the colors and the place. And this is the whole hall, but you've done nothing. Just the altar looks revamped very, very well. So sometimes it takes one person to show you the light, to show you that all of us can do this. You don't have to hire somebody to come and charge you £1,000 to decorate the place because you're having a party or something. No, there are people who can stitch, there are people who can design. Let's use those resources together and let our community rise up. And I think until somebody else emerges to do that, was given the opportunity, we'll always be afraid to move forward. And that's how we undermine our own community. Then when there are good jobs going on, they say, "Oh, well, they won't even fit over there. Oh, they won't get this position." I was the only community midwife, Black woman, when I was working in Guy's Hospital for a long time. So whenever there was a Black, I'd say, "Oh, that Black midwife." I knew it was me. There was no other Black midwife. But you get used to that. Yeah. You have to face the challenges head on and not be afraid. As long as you don't know, you can then excel, but you can then give the other people behind you that ammunition, confidence to move with you and to move forward. That I truly believe. I truly believe.
Oh, what a fantastic session, Ida. What a drive, what a passion, what a risk taker, Ida. Wow, you really you really instilled some ideas in my head, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, no longer comfort zone for myself. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for having us tonight. We are so much privileged to have you. And hopefully we'll be linking at some point. When we are back to normality, what that means, hopefully after the lockdown period. Thank you so much, Ida. And yes, and with that, viewers, we've come to the end of today's talk show. We've been so much inspired, so much motivated. And I keep on saying this, every session we have, we always rediscover ourselves. And this is our time to unleash our talent, what God has given us. Everybody of us has a purpose, was created for a purpose in this world. Let not go without utilizing what God has given us. I remember, and I keep on saying, one pastor said that the grave is so rich with so much talent in there that was never utilized. Let us go empty, because yes, it is inevitable. One way or the other, we'll leave this world. But let us leave this world empty in the sense that we've impacted someone, we've impacted a community, we've utilized whatever God has given us to make a difference. And with that, we've come to the end of today's show. And I hope you've been blessed, and I have been blessed and inspired. And until next time, have a blessed week and have a good evening. I'm your presenter, Patricia Warui. Goodbye.